team.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new season of Orange Peelers. Usually this is where I introduce Zane and I'm like, always joined by Zane, but Zane's gone. He's not dead, but he's gone. I'm joined by Joel. Joel, introduce yourself. Welcome to Orange Peelers. I'm actually thrilled to have you on the show as a co-host. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. It's an honour to join the Orange Peelers team. I'm from New Zealand. You might be able to recognise by the accent as well. It's
in case the jersey didn't give it away.
Yeah, that's probably the main giveaway as well. But it's great to be here, and it's good to hear that Zane's not dead. But rest in peace, Zane. But yes, I'm Joel, big Warriors fan, and
I put up on my broadcast channel, which if you're not in, join it because there's lots of Bulldog, especially if you're a Dogs fan.
I'm in there as well.
I was about to say,
I feel like I'm a half convert to a Dogs fan already just from following along.
I was legit going to say, if you're not a Dogs fan and you're in my broadcast channel, I'm so sorry, but that's all right. But I put in there some questions that the listeners might have for you to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
I should have done it way earlier, and then I was like, oh yeah, like nobody knows who Joel is. I better bring him in gently. But before I get into those, just tell us how did you end up here? Because you're from New Zealand.
Yeah. No, I'm from New Zealand. Lived there my whole life. I'm 24 years old. I just moved over with my girlfriend to Sydney. Got a job working in sports podcasts as well. Doing mainly cricket, a bit of rugby league in there as well. And just always have loved rugby league. Keen to get over to Sydney, watch a bit of, I'll be watching all the Warriors away games, keen to go to a few games. Might have to come to a few Doggies games, Belmore, Balmain. I'm living over sort of that area, so
nice. Keen
to get to Leichhardt and just a die-hard league fan and even, played a little bit of league.
Yeah,
very social levels.
Yeah, good. That's why we're called Orange Peelers.
Exactly.
We're not trying to be too expert, all right?
It's good. I did a podcast back in New Zealand. It was called the Benchwarmers. Yeah. So Benchwarmers, Orange Peelers, bit of a theme going on there.
That translates for sure, so that's good.
Yeah.
I did want to ask as well, you brought up, going to games. Have you been to many stadiums in Sydney, being from New Zealand?
Oh, I came over 2017 for the grand final, which was... Storm Cowboys, Storm won 46, I think it was.
Yeah, that was such a bad grand final.
It was probably the worst grand final, but I wasn't a big Storm fan back then for sure as well. But besides that, so that was at Accor, ANZ back then. But I'm pretty sure that's the only stadium I've been to over here. So I'm, gonna try and get out to a few of the games. I see the first Warriors game over here is at Campbelltown, so I might have to miss out there, which should be fun.
I actually love Campbelltown Stadium. It's like very suburban, and a lot of people don't like it, but I actually love it.
Have you been to most of the stadiums in Sydney?
I have, yeah. I reckon there's probably, in terms, especially Sydney, New South Wales, there's probably one I haven't been to be honest. I think I've been to nearly 20 total.
Wow.
It's like the new Cowboys one I haven't been to, Gold Coast I haven't been to.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I've been to nearly all of them, which is sick.
Yeah, that's, I guess,
crazy.
Is it mainly for Bulldogs games as well?
Nice. Yeah, literally nearly 100% Bulldog games, which is just hectic.
Die-hard fan, I love it.
And I grew up out in the country, so I've even been to Bathurst, Mudgee, which are they play there once a year. I was at City Country in Mudgee, just the most random games.
That's a throwback, City Country as well. Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Actually, this isn't on here, but I do want to ask, and we should be saving this for later in the year, but I'm going to address the elephant in the room. State of Origin, as a Kiwi, do you have a team in State of Origin?
I do, yeah. I do have a team. I've always backed this team as well. It's like in New Zealand, you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
Quite often in New Zealanders, you see them supporting Queensland, then a few years later they're posting about New South. But look, I can honestly say I have supported Queensland the whole time, which is...
I should have asked you that before, bringing you on Orange Peelers, because how have I brought a Queenslander into...
I know. I know. A lot of people at my work obviously work in New South Wales, Sydney as well. They were extremely disappointed. But look, you have to choose a side in New Zealand. And around that sort of 2007, 2008 era when Queensland were just on 2008 especially, they were just awesome winning that run. I just love them. I love backing the Storm players when they weren't playing for Storm back then as well. And I feel like a lot of people in New Zealand supported Queensland off the back of that. But quite a few people jumping on that New South Wales train at the moment
So
over
they're
in New
all just
Zealand.
bandwagons
Pretty
in New
much,
Zealand.
pretty much.
It's like, oh, Queensland's winning. I'm a Queenslander, but you haven't
Yeah.
jumped shit.
I haven't jumped ship, and look, it's it's good. It'll be good to have one New South Wales fan, one Queensland
I
fan.
agree,
At that
especially
point.
come Origin time.
Definitely.
That'll make it better, to be
Yeah.
fair, instead of just complete New South Wales bias,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we had with me and Zane. Somebody's asked, how did you get into rugby league?
My dad, big rugby league fan. He's always been a diehard Warriors fan as well. I think he's been a league fan before the Warriors, but in 1995 when the Warriors were first established, lived in Auckland and stuff, and he just brought me into it. Always loved watching them, and probably one of my earliest memories of rugby league is actually involving the Bulldogs. It was in 2004 when they came and trained at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland, and my dad took me along. And I got my headgear signed by, I think it was Hazem El Masri, Sonny Bill, Willie Mason, and Luke
Luke Patton?
I think so.
Have to be, surely.
Yeah. And I lost that headgear, but I look back now and it was, I think there's photos as well of that. But it's that was a great rugby league memory.
I'll tell you what, as like at that age where it's like, you're becoming a human, I guess, and you're deciding what you like and what you don't like, meeting like the 04 Bulldogs would definitely have an impact in terms of becoming a rugby league fan, because that's like some big all-time names.
Oh, especially for Kiwis as well, with Sonny Bill Williams.
Yes, of course.
He is, he was probably one of the biggest athletes in my time growing up as a kid in New Zealand. So I'm surprised, I guess, if my dad wasn't such a big Warriors fan. You never know. I might have been a Bulldogs fan.
That's why you're a closet Bulldogs fan, as you said earlier. You're in the broadcast channel.
I am.
Meeting the Bulldogs early.
Also, definitely my favourite player from the last few years, and a very good man, Marcelo Montoya. He's moved back to the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And I actually did pick up a Bulldogs jersey. I think it was a 2014 one, the one with like the yellow and green NRL logo.
Yeah.
Picked one up at a market in New Zealand for like $5 last year as well. So I might have to wear my Bulldogs jersey at some stage.
I reckon there's definitely a bet there where if Bulldogs beat Warriors, there's something in that.
100%. I would love to see you wearing a Warriors jersey as well.
If out of the 17 teams, I don't think anyone hates the Warriors.
Yeah.
Especially as a kid in kindergarten. This is a fun fact. I've never spoken about this. In kindergarten, there was like this kid that was a Warriors fan. He was a Kiwi.
Yeah.
And like in country New South Wales, there's no Kiwis. So, and he was a huge Warriors fan. So Warriors were like my second team at that age.
Well, mate, we're always welcoming on new fans. If anything happens with the Bulldogs as well.
Yeah, if we get folded somehow. What's your favourite try of all time?
Oh, I would have to say my favourite try of all time for the Warriors, 2008, was when they knocked out the Storm, when it was back in the old final system, and they had one plays 8, and I'm pretty sure the Storm finished first and we finished 8th. We were losing, there's like 3 minutes to go, and Jerome Rapati ran in the wing, Manu Vatuvai broke the tackle, ran the whole field and passed to Michael Witt, and there's a great video of Michael Witt. He's holding the ball up and he just got it down before Cameron Smith almost beat him, and they ended up beating the Storm, which we now haven't done for about 17 games or something, but it was that's just a try that I get goosebumps still watching that try.
You just beat them when it matters, hey, because you also beat them in 2011 in the finals.
Yes, that semi-final. That was another great moment, probably one of the greatest tries when Sean Johnson stepped and put Lou Brown over. But those are two of the great moments.
Favorite player ever?
Oh,
Sean Johnson, surely.
Yeah, Sean, he would be up there. Definitely would be top 5. I'd say my favourite player of all time. Controversial now, but Manu Vatuvai.
Yeah,
I mean, he was, when I was growing up, he was just the winger I idolised.
Yeah.
And look, he's had a few things in the last couple of years, but now he's back on the right path, now doing good things over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
The highs and lows of Manu Vatuvai were just, it was he's the person I've always loved and always enjoyed watching.
Yeah, lovely. I'll go one more, and then we can stop the Warriors dribble. I actually love it.
To be honest, I probably need to be a bit more open. But this is a little bit about me for now.
Yeah, it's 100% all about you. Plus, I think New Zealand have like such a big, passionate audience.
Yes.
So I'm keen to try and bring some of that over to Orange Pillars.
Mate, I'm sure 100%.
Bring them with you.
100%.
If you could sign one player to the Warriors, who would it be?
I was looking at this earlier. I mean, the obvious answer would be Nathan Cleary. Because who doesn't want Nathan Cleary? And, we could do with some great halves at the moment. But Yeah, I'll go Nathan. Oh, if not Nathan Cleary, I'd go Jerome Hughes.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's getting a little bit older, but a few years ago there was rumours that he was going to come to New Zealand, and he shut them down straight away. But I think what he'd bring to New Zealand would be great. But it's got to be Nathan Cleary for me.
I feel like Cleary as well, having obviously Ivan coached there for so long, his little brother's there.
Yeah,
to
I know.
bring the whole family back to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because he grew up, you always see photos of him in the Warriors jerseys and stuff. That would be sick.
He played at the same club that I used to play for, the Mount
there you
Albert
go.
over there as well. So a few shades of Nathan Cleary about myself. But he would just be unreal.
What position, because you said you played league, completely unrelated.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Yeah, it was quite a social. I normally played because I'm quite tall, but I played on the wing in the last year when I played.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I don't mind a high ball and stuff, but sort of always around the centre, back rower, wing, wherever. So yeah, I was
Almost a utility.
Yeah, I guess you could say utility.
Mate, we're filming this in Belmore. You're a utility. Gus might find you and he might sign you. You could be in some trouble.
Unfortunately, I gave up on the professional dream about 20 years ago.
20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I respect that. All right, I reckon let's get into previewing the season.
For sure.
We're going to do it a little bit differently. Instead of just going through every single team and giving our unqualified opinion about them, when you can go and listen to Bloke in a Bar or Rugby League Girl or literally Levels, anyone.
Exactly.
That's not what people are here for, surely. If you are, you've come to the wrong place.
100%.
So I've put the call out to the people. What do they want us to answer? What do they want to know that we can tell them?
Yeah.
Which there probably isn't much, but I've got some questions here that we're going to go through to preview the season. And then we will give our ladder prediction.
Yeah.
We will talk wooden spooners, minor premiers, and we will get into who's winning the comp.
Yeah.
Why it's the Bulldogs. Not actually. I don't think it'll be the Bulldogs this year.
Yeah.
For the first time in my lifetime. But
wow.
And we will get into, Dally M and that sort of thing as well. So fire up, but let's get into these questions. The first question, brought to you by Zane, the ex-host.
Oh,
so this
rest
is
in peace, Zane.
Rest in peace. You're not dead, but rest in peace. This is a changing of the guard. Who finishes higher, Roosters or Rabbitohs?
Wow. If you had asked me this last week, I personally would have said Rabbitohs finish higher.
Yeah.
But then after whatever happened in Redfern, all those injuries, I'm probably going to have to say Roosters.
Yeah?
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't want to get too into our ladder predictions, but do you think either of them is playing finals?
I personally have both of them missing the 8 this year.
There you go. Huge.
Yeah. Yourself?
Massive.
What do you reckon?
I think Souths finish higher. I had Souths finishing quite high.
Yeah.
And then the injuries happened. So for me, instead of them going from just missing the 8 to, bottom 5, I'm going from deep into the 8 to just inside the 8. I feel I don't want to doubt Wayne Bennett, especially a guy, he hasn't played finals in 2 years, 3 years, and that's too long. He's got to get back in there. I think Cam Murray will return late in the season.
Yeah.
Latrell will be back in, I think 8 weeks. Dry Gray's a great fullback.
Yeah.
They still don't have that many forwards and stuff, but I just feel like Wayne Bennett can do enough to get the boys into the top 8. I think the roster is a top 8 roster. I put out my top 8 prediction the other day. I had them in 8th.
Yeah.
Just inside the 8. They play Roosters in the final round. I think that game decides who finishes higher.
Wow. That's Zane. He's a Rabbitohs fan.
He's a mad Rabbitohs fan.
Yeah. Wow. It is going to be interesting, those two teams, because I'm not sure about the Roosters.
Yeah. Yeah, go.
I was saying, I saw the Mad Dragons podcast. A video he put up, pretty much summing up. I mean, they got rid of a lot of good players. A lot of good players left, and then they kind of have got Chad Townsend, who is he's a great ex-Warriors player as well. Did some great things for the Cowboys, but at the stage of his career, I don't know. Is he gonna lead a team to the 8? I don't know. I guess you in the same position as the Rabbitohs, they'll have sort of Sam Walker and Cheese coming back a bit later into the season, but. It's going to be interesting.
And Chad Townsend is a marquee signing. He was signed for depth.
Yeah.
He wasn't even signed to be in this team.
Yeah.
But then Walker goes down, and you speak of the players that have left. I was looking at it the other day because I've sort of had Roosters around before I seriously sat down and just sat down for hours analysing everything, as I definitely do. That's not made up at all. I think the Roosters probably were and are going to be around that 8th spot, but when you actually look at who's left, it's just they lost both their centres.
Yeah.
They lost their veteran 5/8. Their halfback's out injured. Their hooker's out injured. Their alpha veteran prop has left. And their back rower off the bench who like always was covering injuries, Satilli, is also gone. It's just like, who's left?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, I guess the Butchers, they'll be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Like it's Teddy and the Butchers, and then like I guess you have Toops on the wing and stuff. Dom Young, I don't rate him as much as a lot of people do, just defensively and stuff. But
yeah, he's always he's a strike force, I guess. And it's going to be interesting. Those are two teams I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm definitely keen to go to that game as well. Watch the Roosters versus Rabbitohs, that rivalry live in the flesh. Yeah, it would be great.
Round 27, there's somebody that's writing the NRL script that has just put that there for a reason.
Yeah.
That'll be an absolute classic. And on the topic of Souths and Roosters, a final question from Zane. Should Souths move to Allianz Stadium permanently? As you're outside Sydney, so you probably don't sit around arguing about this all the time.
Yeah.
It's a pretty common thing with Sydney clubs to argue about, who should be playing where, because Souths don't have a stadium, Dogs don't have a stadium, Tigers have 4 stadiums, and then like Parramatta, who haven't won in 40 years, have their own stadium. The Panthers, who nobody cared about, like before the last 5 years, they've got their own stadium out in Penrith. And then, big clubs like Bulldogs and Souths especially, like South's a foundation club, Dogs have been around for ages, they don't have their own stadiums. And so it's always a talking point of should they, and so Zane's asking, should they share with the Roosters? Because it is technically South's area as well.
It is. It's pretty, I had never really done too much time in Sydney before I came, and I just always thought Redfern was a lot further out, but it's actually, it's quite pretty close to the central area of Sydney, and I feel like there's no reason why they shouldn't share Allianz Stadium. It's a big stadium, it'll do the trick for them. But it's an interesting one. Also, Penrith, they are moving to CommBank this year, right?
Yes, because their stadium's being not rebuilt, it's being redeveloped.
Yeah.
They probably should be knocking it down and rebuilding it completely, but they're just upgrading some toilets.
Yeah, fair enough.
You've won 4 comps in a row, spend your money better. Seriously.
Exactly, surely.
Build something better. But so they'll be playing at CommBank this year. Tigers will be playing out of CommBank. So you have 3 teams at CommBank, and then a bigger stadium, Allianz. The Roosters are just like, nah, this is ours.
Yeah, do you reckon that they should, Rabbitoh should get Allianz full time?
It's a hot take, but I think they should share it, and I think it would ignite the rivalry as well.
Definitely.
And the club like South, they should have their own stadium. And I personally think, you said Accor is probably the one stadium you have been to, but Accor, it's such a sick stadium when it's full.
Yeah.
And I love it for big games. But when it's a Friday night 6 p.m. game and you have 8,000 people there, it sucks. And it's a Sydney thing where people hate going out to Olympic Park as well.
Yeah.
I personally don't mind it. Like I've lived in Wollongong the last few years and then out in the country. As a kid, it's harder to judge going to a stadium, but I don't really think it's that out of the way. But people hate going out there anyway, so moving teams away from there sort of makes sense. And there's not really anywhere else you're putting Souths unless you're building them their own stadium.
Yeah, it actually is a very good point, and it's the same thing taking it back to New Zealand here as well. Eden Park is a 60,000 person stadium pretty much, and when teams play there, they only get 10 to 15 sometimes. But you go to Mount Smart, smaller stadium, it's way better. So I reckon, Zane, I reckon we'll move the Rabbitohs to Allianz.
He's very pro it.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, all the Roosters fans are very anti it.
Yeah.
So it's always a good debate. I've got one here. Is this going to be the closest season of the decade?
I do feel like it's going to be a close season. Do you include the decade? Is that the 2020s?
I guess let's call it the last 10 years.
The last 10 years, yeah. Well, I was looking, while I was doing my extensive research on the train here, and, just really trying to, work it all out. I think a lot of people have talked, a lot of podcasts have talked, this could be the hardest year to pick the wooden spoon for a lot of people. And there's a couple teams at the top that are kind of obviously going to be there. We say that now, but anything can happen in the NRL. But I do think there's going to be from about 3 to 17, anything could happen, and it could almost be a dartboard throw. Yeah,
I agree. I think the teams around the 6th to below, really. I think there's so many teams there that are you can see them playing finals.
Yeah,
but you can also go, they probably won't. But if they made it, you're not going to be surprised. So I feel like in that sense, it's close. I feel like picking the wooden spoon, it's tight. Picking 8th spot, 7th spot, it's tight. But I feel like in terms of who's going to win the comp, I think it's so clear-cut this year.
Yeah. I think a lot of... I feel like I actually haven't. I know prior... this is a bit of I don't know, what do you call it to anyone listening? We actually haven't discussed our ladder or anything
Yeah, we
yet,
haven't.
but I just feel like we have the same team at number one.
And we won't reveal it, but I will say the team that I see winning the comp, this is probably the most confident I've been in a team winning the comp like ever.
Warriors.
How did you know? No, actually, I'll take that back. The most confident I was in a team winning the comp was the Bulldogs last year.
Wow.
And then it's
Was that before the season, the Bulldogs?
Yeah, because of the theory. I don't know if you're familiar with the theory,
yeah.
but because of that, I brainwashed myself into thinking they were winning the comp.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it's just so clear cut, and I think it almost will be. It won't be a boring season because it's rugby league, but I just think from start to finish, there's one team that's just going to dominate.
Definitely.
Speaking of close seasons, what's one team you think is going to shock the competition, either good or bad?
Well, I mean, I personally didn't think the Bulldogs were going to do well last year, and they did. Year before, as a Warriors fan, I didn't have too much optimism.
Yeah.
They did awesome. I think it's a tough one, but I actually might go... There's two teams I'm thinking of. I'll give you two.
Yeah, go.
I think the Titans are going to have a good year this year.
Yeah?
I mean, the Titans, they're notorious for just having a bit of hype around them and dying off, and then having no hype around them and then doing well.
Yeah.
Similar to a lot of teams as well. But, Tino back this year, Kinney is such a talented player. Jaden Campbell could be anything. Brimo, they look great in the trials as well. I think just if everything starts clicking there. Also, Campbell Gillard is a big signing for them as well.
Yeah, I think so.
I do think the Titans could do well this year. And I mean, this might not be as much of a surprise, but I think Manly are going to just have a good year. I'm manifesting good things for Turbo as well.
Yes.
I'm thinking of potentially bringing him in fantasy early and Supercoach nice and early. But I think Manly are going to have a great season this year as well. What do you reckon?
I think a team that's going to shock people. I'd almost say my pick for Rabbits to be an 8th spot.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people are now writing them off. I really do think that they can sneak into the 8. I agree. I think Titans are a big chance of play. Like that's when I said earlier, there's so many teams that I could see making the finals. They're one of them. I think Dragons as well. As I said to you before we started, I'm probably reading way too into trial form. I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you know, I interned there last year.
Oh, wow.
So I was, the Molin side.
Yeah.
That's why the Bulldogs beat them twice.
Yeah.
That's why Kyle Flanagan beat Stephen Crichton, because I got into his head.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I feel like what they needed is leadership and just experience. I don't think Ben Hunt was very good in terms of leadership. He was sort of just the captain because he was the best player.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gutho coming in, great leadership. Holmes, veteran. Damien Cook, point to prove, veteran. I think Lockie Ilias even has a point to prove. He's always had potential. He's never lived up to it. But I just feel like there's a world where it just clicks and they get it right. And you have to remember as well that they missed the finals last year by like 1 win.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they could make that tiny little jump where they make the finals and then just get bumped week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the impact that Lomax has on a team as well.
Yeah,
and
that's
Ben
true.
Hunt, it's going to be interesting to see how they go without Lomax, especially. Ben Hunt, obviously a great player as well. But yeah, I mean, after the season Lomax had last year, I don't think this Dragons are going to do well. But it's a good take, though. It's interesting.
No, that's fair. I think Lomax definitely was such a big reason they did so well last year. And Ben Hunt, he wins them so many games.
Definitely.
And that's where their season will be made or break. Made or braid, that doesn't make sense. Made or broken, I guess. That doesn't rhyme. But I think, the halves. There's a lot of pressure on Flano and Ilias to perform.
Very young, also inexperienced.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see.
We'll talk a bit of Knights here. Can Sharp and Ponga, can they build a combination to get the Knights to the finals?
Look, I think they can't, personally. I think it's a great combination that's building. Ponga, if he can stay fit, if he can play the way he's been playing the last couple of seasons, anything could happen for the Knights. And obviously Sharp, he looked great at the end of last year and he sort of looked better in the trials as well. But I personally am ruling the Knights out again just because I had to be cutthroat. You had to rule a few teams out. So I don't think they can. But what do you reckon?
Yeah, I feel like the story of their season last year was just the halves. They just never picked who the halves were. Yeah. And for some reason, round 0 starts this weekend. The Knights play football in like nearly a week and they still don't know who their halves are. Yeah. And it's just so much drama. It's like in the trials, the half that didn't change was Fletcher Sharp. And I'm like, how is Fletcher Sharp even in the halves?
I know, yeah.
And that's the one they're set on. I think it's worrying signs.
Who do you think will be the final halves pairing for them?
they went gamble in the second trial with Sharp, and they like towed up the Roosters. So you'd think they've won the spots.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, there's like I'd almost be going like, and it's hard to say because to go with this pair, I would have given them the whole preseason together, and I assume they haven't.
Yeah.
But I would have gone Will Price and then probably Jack Cogger.
Yeah. Wow.
Or Gamble. I don't know. I just don't think there's any good halves there.
Yeah.
I can understand why they're not set on a pair because there's just slim pickings.
It's interesting with the Knights as well. I was listening to a podcast the other day, a rival podcast. I think it might have even been Buzz Rothfield talking about it, and he was saying that Peter O'Sullivan, the recruitment managers in there at the moment, and apparently they've just been left in shambles. That's why they've had to get rid of Saifiti, and that's why they've had to get rid of Leo Thompson as well. Which I'm
licking my lips about that.
I don't know. It just seems like there's a few things not entirely right there at the Knights, and I don't know. There's a lot of people to choose combos from there, but I don't think they're going to make the 8 this year. The Knights.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think you mentioned Turbo earlier? Do you think he's going to have an injury-free season?
I just think he's due. I think he's
due. He's due for an injury or due for a break?
He's due for. I think he's due for a break. Like, I just think he's such a good player when he's playing. There's been a lot of unlucky fullbacks over the last few years as well. Ponga, I guess Latrell, Pappenhausen as well. But I just think that something good is brewing over in Manly, and they could. I do actually think they could shock a lot of people this year, and finish top 4 for sure. Even finish higher. They've got a few good forwards coming in there as well. They've taken Jazz Tavanga. He was a proud Warriors man, but he's also like, I mean, he's a good player, but he also seems like he's a great vibe in a club as well. And I was looking at their team. I can't really fault their 1 to 17 at all as well. So I think Manly are going to go well, and it's going to be led by Turbo. Yeah,
I think if Turbo puts together at either the same amount of the season he did last year, which was like a good chunk for his standards, or more, which is very possible, I think Manly definitely push for top 4.
Yeah.
If Turbo, has another season-ending injury, hopefully he doesn't, but if he does, then it's a different story.
Definitely.
I feel like the end of the season last year was so promising for him because he strung together not just a big chunk of the season, but an important chunk of the season. Like he was playing finals without getting hurt, and then he played for Australia. Was in such red hot form and didn't get hurt in those faster games. So I feel like that could be a good omen for him. And heading into the preseason without an injury surely helps him as well.
Exactly. No, I'm excited for them, and I'm excited for Lehi Hopewati as well. I feel like he really could be anything after his sort of break into the scene last year.
I'll go one more question. I'm actually going to have to leave a bunch of questions out because this is good chat.
Yeah.
I'm going to go one more question that's based on this upcoming season, and I'm going to talk a little bit about 2026 briefly. My question for you for this season, who has been the buy? It's hard to judge because the season hasn't played out, but who's going to be the buy of the season, do you think?
Oh, it's an interesting one. Look, as a Warriors fan, I'm loving James Fisher-Harris, but I do genuinely think that Adam Fanua-Blake for the Sharks as well he's just going to be such a big loss for the Warriors. His on-field work is amazing. Like, there's been questions about his off-field work, but he's back in Sydney now, looking shredded, and I think he'll be able to, if he can play how he plays, which is great. He's played for the Warriors, played great for the Tonga and stuff as well. I think he could really get the Sharks into the top 2 this year as well. That's my prediction. What do you reckon?
I actually agree on Adam Fanua-Blake. I think he turns the Sharks into such a genuine contender.
Yeah.
They were in the prelims last year. They'd finally won a finals game, and their roster just goes that step up. And like a guy like Adam Fanua-Blake, who obviously you'd know better than anyone, is just such a quality front rower. I think he elevates that roster so much. He's going to, like Nico being able to play off the back of that as well, it only makes his life easier. And it's a quality roster. Like, they were in the prelims last year.
Also, like, at the end of last year, we sort of saw another emergence of Trindle as well.
Yes.
And, like, he can really get clicking with Hines.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of scary talent coming out of there.
Yeah.
Hazelton as well. I'm sure he'll put him down for, if you can bet on him to score 5+ tries this year, it's a great bet.
That's a layup. You almost put him top try scorer, I reckon.
I know, first try score in Vegas this weekend. That could even be a go.
That's a great shout. Speaking of Vegas, that is my question for 2026 from someone.
Yeah.
who should be the 4 teams heading over? Obviously, the Warriors heading over this year. You should almost be on a plane going to Vegas.
I was on the bus on the train coming here, and I was looking out the window. I was thinking, I was questioning my life decisions.
Yeah.
Why am I not in Vegas?
Yeah.
It kind of timed out a little bit wrong had this sort of this time period to move over to Sydney as well, and it was a tough one not going to Vegas, but I can assure you if the Warriors ever end up back there, I'll be there because the amount of Kiwis that are over there at the moment is gonna be carnage. And I'm sure there's gonna be some stories coming back from that. But I know the Bulldogs, they're rumored to get there. I saw you saying you'll do anything to get on a plane there next year.
Correct.
Who else are you thinking?
So I'm like, it's hard to judge between who, because there's so many rumors. It's hard to differentiate who do I think is going to go and who do I think will go and who do I think should go.
Yeah,
I'll focus on who I think will go based on rumors. It sounds like Dogs are going to be all but locked in. It sounds like Dragons are going to be all but locked in. I think Dragons made a big push to go this year. Yeah, and were one of the few teams that got brushed. I feel like especially this year and last year, the NRL didn't really get to choose because it was basically like any club that volunteers, there's probably only going to be 4. I feel like Dragons were probably the only team that missed out because not every club's that willing to go in the first and second year. I think now there's going to be lots of teams begging to go. I'm hearing Knights, they're putting a huge bid together. I think Eels there's a lot of talk there. And then also Dolphins and Storm, there's a bit of talk about. I think you need at least one non-Sydney team. Yeah. I don't think you can send 4 Sydney teams. And then I'd just from there be looking at matchups. I feel like Dogs Dragons makes sense in Vegas because you're not selling out an Accor stadium. You might sell out Cogra, which holds like 18,000, but you're not giving up a huge crowd. If you sent Dogs Eels, you're giving up like 40 or 50,000 people in Sydney as a crowd. So I think you got to look at teams that aren't going to pull a huge crowd here. So I'd be going a Sydney team versus either Storm or Dolphins, and then probably Dogs, Dragons. And so that leaves me with the 4 teams I'd send: Dogs, Dragons, Knights, and I would send the Finns because I'd use Storm the following year as a draw card. I think if you're sending Dogs Dragons to bigger clubs, especially the Dogs fan base will get over there. I don't think you need them and Storm as draw cards.
What about if this year goes well and they just end up just being such a big success and they just fire 8 teams over?
Imagine.
Well, because I feel like it's leading to, I mean, this would just be total carnage, but it's leading to one day all 16 teams being in Vegas, which seems like the natural progression. Just that first round in Vegas. I mean, because do you have to send all 17 teams? Because that means you have to do 5 years at least. Of that, and I'm not sure the contracts, but why don't they just go big next year? Just get all 16 over there.
Just send them all, and you could even send 16 and the World Club Challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, obviously it plays into the season. Panthers didn't even want to play it this year, a couple of weeks out from the season, yet alone right before the season. But that's an option as well. They were talking about doing it in Magic Round anyway. Yeah. So I don't know why they wouldn't be willing to do it round 0. I think it would be sick. I know there'd be so many fans that are like, I want to watch my team round 1 in a home game. But imagine if they went like global and it's a different country every year and it's like a big NRL on tour round 1 every year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they would sell out. They'd sell out the stadium over in Vegas if there was all 16 teams playing. I don't know if there's enough hotel rooms. I don't know if there's enough cops to control the bogan Aussies.
100%.
I don't know if there's enough. Enough everything over there in Vegas for a whole round. But I think that's a very good take you have, saving Storm as a draw card for the year after. But I think the Storm, they might get it just, especially if they were to win it this year.
Yeah, that's
you never
very
know.
fair
It could be
point.
good to have the premiers over there again.
So would you lock in Dogs Dragons?
It sounds I reckon the Dogs Knights.
Yeah,
because I know that the Knights, they have a great fan base as well.
They do.
Dogs seem like they're a lock in as well, and I'm not sure about the other one. I guess maybe chuck the Dragons in there.
I think Dolphins are a chance. Like
Tigers, maybe.
Tigers, yeah. You also think like what mascots in American sports match up. I think you need at least one of them. They've sent like 3 this year in. Like obviously you have Golden State Warriors, which sort of matches. Then you have Panthers, Carolina Panthers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah. So they've just wasted a bunch of them straight away. But you still have the Cowboys there, the Titans there, the Dolphins. Yeah. So there's still a few to choose from.
Cowboys could be a good shout for next year as well, actually. Yeah. I'll put a prediction in: Bulldogs, Knights, Cowboys, Dolphins.
Nice. I'm going to go Bulldogs, Dragons, Knights, Dolphins.
Yeah, nice.
We'll circle back to this
Yeah.
this time next year. Let's get into our ladders.
Yeah.
Why not? Apologies to everyone that put in Bulldogs questions as well. I want it. It's an NRL podcast, and I'm not just going to sit here in a Bulldog jersey on a Bulldog set yapping about the Bulldogs to Warriors fan. It's torture. But I'll try and do some content answering those questions myself.
Yeah, I reckon that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Start. Do you want to take it away with your ladder?
Yeah, do you want me to start? Let me pull it up. So the way we're going to do this is we'll just go through, we'll talk wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Then we'll just we'll one at a time read out the 16 to second, so our full ladder. And then we'll sort of, any talking points, any crazy predictions, we'll sort of go over. And then we'll hit minor premiers, which could be very similar.
Yeah.
But let me find my ladder somewhere in my notes. Here it is. It's labelled way too early ladder because I probably drew the first one up in like September.
Yeah.
But luckily it's not too early anymore. So my wooden spoon, I don't want to say it because I feel so bad. I've got the Warriors getting the wooden spoon.
Oh, mate, I had a feeling a lot of people around my new office, they've been sending me wooden spoon emojis on Microsoft Teams. You know, they've been giving it to me. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this week if I find a wooden spoon from the kitchen on my desk. But what's your reasoning? I can see it. I can't see it because the Warriors are actually one of the only teams who've never won a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are sort of having this theory. And what's yours for it?
Yeah, I'll tell you why, and you can then defend your club with honour and convince me otherwise. First, before I go, where do you have Warriors finishing yourself?
I have them 7th.
I love it. I respect that so much. I actually love that.
Yeah, it'd be remiss of me to come on here and say they're finishing outside of the 8th because it's our year up the waz. But
I love it.
Yeah. So you go on.
I just feel like, and it was a big thing with the Broncos last year. I actually predicted the Broncos to miss the 8 last year.
Yeah, wow.
And I reckon I was the only person to do it, and I was correct. The loss of experience and just the heart and soul of the team, losing Sean Johnson, I was so worried straight away because I think Metcalf and Chanel's name to play this week, and I thought it was going to be Marta, but Chanel, who I rate highly, he's got a lot of X factor. They're both individually quality halves. As a halves pairing, I just don't think it's up there with the best.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an aging roster as well. We saw last year, bringing in Roger and even Chance, they're good players. They are aging. They're getting a little bit older. And so when Sean Johnson announced his retirement, I was looking at the team, losing out of Fanua Blake. You have brought in James Fisher-Harris, which cancels it out. But I was just like, are they going to be contending for a spoon? And then Tohu Harris retires.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, the line through them. Losing Sean Johnson and Tohu Harris, two such key figures in that roster, experience, leadership, heart and soul, just what it means to be a War.
Yeah.
That is them personified. Losing that times 2 with the aging roster, not bringing in heaps. Even losing Montoya, that's experience on the wing. I'm just like... Tavanga as well.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know.
Oh, no, these are all valid points as well. You talk about the Warriors' heart last year. Literally, Johnson, Harris, Fanua Blake potentially not on the field and around the field. Sorry, but he was one of the best players, if not the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Montoya and Tavanga, two guys in the locker room who are kind of experienced players. They've done a lot of games in the NRL, and they are just they bring, I don't know, it's a word in New Zealand, mana, they call it. They just bring a lot of mana, and they have two ultimate club men as well. So very big losses, but it leaves a door open. At some stage, the Warriors, they had all these young players who had to come through. Now on the bench, they have this week Leka Halasema, who he played last year against the Bulldogs. He almost broke the Bulldogs' heart.
He killed us.
Yeah, on his debut. Yeah. I saw a lot of Aussies and stuff, bloke in a bar there saying this guy could be anything. He could be. Also, Dimitrik Vaimaunga, he changed his name. He used to be Sivakula, but he's on the bench this week as well. He did his ACL last year, but I think he's 21. Supposed to be a great as well. So he's going to be covering a bit of lock as well. Aaron Clark, he's in there. Quite a carbon copy of Jazz Tavanga. He's also played for the Warriors before, had a good season last year. I think it's going to unlock a lot. And it's also this year, for Andrew Webster was a little bit sort of sheepish to make changes and stuff and change a few things. But this year he's got Roger in the wing, which I really like because he'll be running 200 metres a game. He looked deadly in the trials. And also Tane Tuapiki, who's not your typical wing build in the modern day era. But I mean, Hazem Almazu, he was small.
Yeah. Look at Brian To'o.
Exactly. Tane
it can work.
He's quite small, but
Yeah.
every single chance he's got for the Warriors, he stood up and played well. So, look, I'm a blind, faithful Warriors fan, so I'm hoping they don't finish last this year. I'm hoping they do well, but it'll be interesting to see that
I think,
one.
And it's the same. Like, I've got the Dragons in the 8, and it's the same thing where you can either look at it as, it's an aging roster. You can look at it as they have experience.
Yeah.
And maybe it's ignorant of me to be like, the Dragons have experience and the Warriors have an aging roster.
Yeah.
But I think it's the losses for me that make the Warriors wooden spoon contenders, and it's the gains of the Dragons that sort of separate the two.
Yeah.
And as I said, it is pretty contradictory. Great word, hard to say. But yeah, especially when you look at other teams, there's so many contending for the spoon, but I just feel like I've found more reasons with the other teams for them not to get it compared to the Warriors.
Yeah.
Who do you have getting the spoon?
Well, this is funny because I actually have the Dragons.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, so
another team that hasn't got it as well.
Yeah, I've sort of just I was weighing it up a lot. There's probably about 6-7 teams that I think potentially could have got it, and I still they think they could have.
Yep.
They could get it, but just the Dragons just losing Lomax. Hunt is aging, great player though, but I don't know. I just don't think the Dragons are that good. Never have rated them, even though they pumped the Warriors last year. But I don't know. I just don't think the Dragons are doing well this year.
Yeah.
I think their signings. Look, you probably know a lot more about the Dragons than I do. You worked for them last year and stuff. And experience can help, and they obviously have some very good young players. Terrell Sloan can be anything on his day as well, but. I don't know. I just had to choose one, and I think the Dragons are just gonna come 17th for me this year.
I think it's fair. As somebody that has them making the 8, I can't even sit here and knock you putting them last.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't be shocked. But that sort of goes to the point of maybe it will be the closest season ever because there is a lot of teams in the mix. Let's go through our 16 to 2nd. I'll let you lead the way here.
Yeah.
If you just go, literally just read the numbers.
Yeah,
so it's easy to track. But let us know.
All right, so I'll go Wooden Spoon, Dragons, 16th, Raiders, 15th, Knights, 14th, Rabbitohs, 13th, Eels, 12, Dolphins, 11, Cowboys, 10, Tigers, 9, Roosters.
Nice. I think our bottom 9, pretty similar outside of 1 or 2. I'm glad you paused because I'll do my bottom 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not identical, but there are some similarities. So, unfortunately, Warriors in 17th. I feel so bad. It's like, bring on the Warriors co-host, and then I'm just like, oh, yeah, by the way, your team's coming last. That's so mean, but...
No, it's fair. It's valid.
I got Dolphins 16th, Tigers 15th, Cowboys 14th, Titans 13th, Eels 12th, Knights at 11, Raiders at 10, and Roosters as well at 9th.
Yeah, nice. Pretty similar.
Yeah.
Pretty similar.
Yeah.
So, 100%. Should we go... Yeah, we'll go 8, and then... I'll go my 8, you do your 8.
Yeah, okay, yep, bet.
So I've gone at 8, and look, I had a few doubts about these guys this year, but I think, when you bring on a player like Marcelo Montoya, and you know what he does, so I put the Bulldogs at 8.
Yeah.
I was just being friendly, coming into the
unlike
Bulldogs.
Me, yeah.
So I do genuinely think after last year, they haven't signed too many great players. They've got Satili Tupunua is a great player, but they haven't signed too many other players. But I think, what the Bulldogs sort of brought last year, and the Critter is scarily good, and his leadership is scarily good as well. So I'm excited to see what can happen with them, and it should be good. I'm also looking forward to seeing Josh Curran go well.
Yes.
He's always been one of my favourite players.
Yeah, so, such a nice guy as well.
Yeah. He's he could have been an honorary New Zealander. But, the Warriors. I think the Warriors. They screwed him over as well. Yeah, that's true. That's what I've heard. So I'm glad he's doing well at the Bulldogs because he's a great man.
We love him as well, we're looking after him. I will say, you mentioned how the Dogs haven't signed heaps of players, and I felt that's a strength for them this year. Yeah, because for the first time. Almost since I can remember, they've been so bad for so long. Yeah, there isn't a heap of turnover season to season, especially the last couple of years. There's been so much turnover. So ending the season in finals and then having that same squad go into preseason, do a full preseason together. This is Matt Burton's first preseason as a Bulldog. He's been there for a couple of years now, where he knows who his halfback is, knows who his fullback is. So I think having that cohesion and just the similar faces at training and going through the drills and the systems and keeping it all consistent, I feel like that hopefully is a strength.
So will Connor Tracy be fullback?
I think so. He had a horrible
I was
trial
gonna
against
say,
the Broncos.
yeah.
So now there's a bit of talk there. I think he still has to be.
Yeah.
If he put some sunglasses on, he would have had a fantastic trial. He just dropped 2 high balls because the sun was in his eye.
Oh, fair enough.
Just get the bloke some sunnies.
Yeah.
And
then
he's sweet.
Who are your 2 wingers?
So Carraz is out injured to start the season.
Oh, yeah.
Indefinitely, it sounds like. I'm really worried about Carraz.
Oh, that's not...
Because apparently there's like a bit going on there.
Yeah.
But we'll try and stay optimistic. It'll be Carraz, and it looks like Montoya's going to be the other one.
Yeah, nice. So, I mean, and to cover Carraz, you'd have Blake Wilson.
Yeah,
nice.
Wilson, Tuala's there, who we signed from the Knights.
Yeah, nice.
And then a couple young guys coming through as well.
Oh, that's awesome. No,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Bulldogs go after the Warriors were robbed against them last year. You know,
I'm not even going to sit here and say they weren't. Yeah.
nah, but it was a great game, and I can't wait. I can't remember if we were talking about this on air or off air, but we might have to get a bit of a bet rolling.
Yes.
It could be I could be wearing a Bulldogs jersey, you could be wearing a Warriors jersey.
Yeah. We'll definitely discuss
sort
it
that
for
out at some
sure.
stage for sure.
I don't think I said my 8th spot. I've got Souths. I've said it earlier, but Souths making the 8. I just feel like they will pull it together by the end of the season. Wayne Bennett's magic.
Yeah.
I think they sneak in there. I sort of touched on it earlier, so we'll just go straight to 7th.
Yeah, I got the Warriors at 7th. I said that before.
Yes, you did.
I think, Mitch Barnett, James Fisher-Harris, probably one of the scariest guys in Australia, one of the scariest guys in New Zealand right now.
Yeah.
And both great leaders, so I'm hoping they're going to do well, and I'm hoping Luke Metcalf is going to stay healthy and guide them to a good season.
He's a gun, isn't he, Metcalf?
Yeah, he's been unlucky being injured the last 2 years as well, but I really think that the way he takes the ball to the line and he just idolised Sean Johnson, and I think he's going to do well. Who do you have there?
So Dragons at 7th.
Nice.
We've talked enough about the Dragons. So I just think the signings they've made, it boosts the leadership, boosts the experience. As I said earlier, just seeing what they were missing last year. I think Hunt is such a big loss and he won them so many games. But I think in terms of leadership and stuff, it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade at fullback, which is a key position. Hooker, another key position. So I'm interested to see how they go. They're probably the team the most out of anyone where it just could be absolutely anything. Yeah. And there's a lot of teams, so that says a lot. Who do you have at 6?
I've got the Titans at 6.
Yeah? Wow.
It's interesting because prior to probably yesterday, I would have just put the Titans about 14th, but I just think that things can start clicking at the Titans, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think Kinney is just one of the most promising players in the league, and even what he did for New Zealand when he played at the end of last year as well, and he decimated the Warriors as well. And I think if they can get lucky with not too many injuries and stuff, the Titans can they can sort it out.
I literally just said Dragons might be the most anywhere team. Titans are right up there as well. I feel like their halves pairing, they're now being forced to go with, and it was rumoured they're going with. I'm worried about that defensively and just how they go together, because I feel like they're very similar X-Factory players, Brimson and Campbell. Yeah. But I think they're going to have a lot of points in them.
Definitely.
If, Fermor and Fafita, Tino, if they can all stay healthy, it's a gun forward pack. Yeah. I think they're a slept-on team. I can see them making the 8. I don't have them in the 8, but they're another team where if they're in the 8, I'm not surprised at all.
Who was your 6?
The Dogs. I've got them in 6th,
nice.
which they came 6th last year. Yeah. I think it's as we said, like the roster itself has barely improved. You'd maybe say like the tiniest bit with Satili coming in. Yeah. Okay, we got Zion as well. Oh, yes. From you guys. So the forward pack is boosted, especially just depth wise. Yeah. The forwards are there now. So I think they've improved that a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 ladder spots. Yeah. However, I think they did overachieve last year. Yeah. And so putting them together, I think they improve a little bit. If you knock them back a few places last year from where they should have been, and then, they jump a little bit with the improved roster this year, I think they land around the same mark. Yeah. They also started the season so slow last year. They were getting towed up the first couple of weeks. If they can start a little bit better and learn their lessons from late in the season, I think there's a few extra wins there as well. Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Bulldogs going. And I totally forgot. Old Zion Ma'u.
Yes.
He is scary. There was a game last year he played, and he was running off the back fence. He was like, really could have been anything. Not sure why they got rid of him at the Warriors, but
that's my concern with him. Is like, why'd they let him go? I will say as well though, like as a Dogs fan sitting in a Bulldogs jersey in a Bulldogs studio, in Belmore, I do have my concerns. I'm very worried about, are they going to have second year syndrome? Did they overachieve way too much last year? Teams are going to be more ready for them now. Yeah. I think a lot of games we caught teams off guard. But yeah, I just feel like they will do enough, especially when you compare it to the Warriors and the Cowboys jumps. I feel like they were such almost random jumps. You're going from bottom 4 to top 4 to prelims, where the Bulldogs have sort of built like more smart, if that's fair to say. And they didn't jump from the bottom to the prelims. They jumped from the bottom to the lower end of the 8 and then just finals week 1. They didn't take that huge jump.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a gradual build, and I feel like they're going to build on last season. That's why I think I honestly, if I'm giving like a full season prediction of the Bulldogs, 6th spot, week 1 of the finals, out again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see them winning the comp at all, but I think they'll make the 8.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, mate. It should be good. And I'm looking forward to going to a Doggies game as well, because I've seen some great things.
We'll get you to Belmore, sure. Because like there's not much like it, especially last year with when the streets erupted.
Yeah.
Which you might have even seen the street on the way in and you wouldn't recognise it, because it's just totally different at night after a Belmore win. They have to win there first if you do go to the game,
mate,
but it's crazy.
I'll have to get there for sure.
Yeah. They play the Titans, so it's like, surely they can beat the Titans.
I did see that, yeah.
Who do you have in 5th?
I've gone at 5th Broncos.
Yep.
I think Broncos will make the 8 this year. If they don't, something's gone horribly wrong. Old Madge Maguire, he's a good coach. I think he's clearly cracked a whip on them, and like I'm looking forward to seeing the best being brought out of Reece Walsh. Scarily good player. I know you probably hate him as a New South Welshman, but yeah, I mean, just him, Ben Hunt adding the lineup, and Payne Haas, just a scary good player. So yeah, I've gone Broncos 5.
That's super fair. I'll be talking about the Broncos soon because they're a little bit high for me. I've got Manly at 5. Before we talk about Manly, the Broncos, I've heard whispers that their preseason, Michael Maguire, he's got into their head. And that's been their biggest question through the offseason is you have the rock stars, you have Michael Maguire. Can he get through to them, or are they just not going to respond at all?
Yeah.
And from what I've been told, I don't have like insiders at Broncos, but I've just heard whispers. I've heard, I know people that have spoken to Michael Maguire.
Yeah.
And apparently he's got through to them. They've responded, and the trials reflect that as well, especially the first trial, where it was like the juniors carving up a stronger Titan side. Like they named a bunch of starters. So, yeah, I think Broncos could be in for a huge year. But at 5th, I have Manly, who I think you said they'll be in your top 4. I can't push against it. It literally comes down to, is Tom Trbojevic going to be healthy?
Definitely. And I mean, it's probably the safer bet to put them at 5 because they can still finish 5 if they don't. Whether they can finish top 4 without him, it's a question to be asked. But yeah, I think Manly, they look like they're going to have a good year.
And I feel like Cherry Evans getting late into his career, it's time for him to win another comp if he wants one. I think he's really ready to almost go Cooper Cronk-esque and dominate a season and get his, I guess, a fairy tale finish. And just the health of Turbo, their backline, like Lehigh, as you said earlier, Gunn, their forwards are just solid. You got Paseka there, you got Ola Kawatu.
Oh, he's a scary man.
100%. Yeah, I think they could do good things. If Turbo just strings together half a season, they'll be in finals. And the more he plays, it's just that's how high they go.
Yeah.
Who do you have in 4?
I've gone for Penrith.
Yeah?
4? Yeah.
Dropping off a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I sort of thought they would the last few years, and they didn't.
Yep.
4 times in a row. But yeah, I mean, they've lost Luai, lost a couple of players, Fisher Harris, obviously big players as well, and they've gained Isaiah Papali'i, someone else as well. I can't actually think of the top of my head right now, but they
got Talangi.
Yes, yeah,
they've brought him into the halves, and there is a few gains.
Is he even playing this week as well?
Jack Cole's playing this week, so it's just
I just think what Ivan Cleary has going on there, what Nathan Cleary has, they can be scary good. And I think they're going to do it again, and they're going to make the top 4.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't win, but I think they're going to make the top 4.
Yeah.
Who'd you give with?
I went with in 4 Broncos, who we already touched on.
Yeah.
I just think, as we said, I think they're building something scary up there. We saw them in 2023, what they did. Last year was a bit of a freak year.
Yeah.
It's not too far off the roster they had in 2023. So we've seen what they're capable of. It's just about responding to Michael Maguire. Like Kevin Walter's allegedly terrible coach, according to some of his own players. So if they do have that coaching improvement, who knows what they could do.
Yeah.
I'll do my 3rd before you do your 3rd, because I had Panthers at 3rd.
Wow.
So we've both got them falling off a little bit. And on the Panthers, I just feel like the loss of Luai and Fisher-Harris, we've said it in the past when they lose players, but I feel like this is the year where they've lost more than the previous years. I think losing a guy in the halves that Nathan Cleary has played nearly basically his whole life with.
Yeah.
And James Fisher-Harris, just that alpha in the middle, such a key part. And they haven't really replaced him adequately. Like, Pupley's only named on the bench. So I don't know. I think that's a step backwards as well. They're usually slow starters. I think they'll take a little bit of time to gel with that halves pairing. And I think if you're betting against them to make top 4, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, they're almost a lock to be top 4. They're almost a lock to even, be in the grand final, win the comp. Like, when they've won 4 in a row,
Yeah.
it's pretty dumb to go against them. But yeah, I think they will fall off a bit. Especially like Panthers, they never really win the minor premiership. They're always usually they come second, I feel.
Yeah,
and get that home
there or
final. But yeah,
thereabouts.
I just feel like they'll be happy with top 4 and getting that second chance in finals. Who do you have in third?
I went for Manly.
Yeah.
Manly third. Yeah. Which, I mean, we've talked about it enough.
Yep.
I think, yeah, Manly a third for me.
So we've got the same top 2 then.
We do. And
What order are yours in?
I've gone 1 Storm, 2
Yep,
Sharks.
I've gone the exact same. Let's talk about the Sharks first.
Yeah.
Where did they come last year? They would have been 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Because they were top 4. What do you think they do this year? We talked about Adam Finnell-Blake a little bit, but what do you think they do this year to make that little jump? And how far do you see them going?
I really think they could be. I do think that they're going to be in the top 2 this year.
Yep.
I think they're going to make a statement this weekend in Vegas as well. I think they're going to beat Penrith,
Huge.
which would be a huge statement to make as well. But yeah, I just think the combinations that they had stringing together last year, Trindle taking a bit more pressure off Hines, and then they just have Finnell-Blake getting in there, and he's just the way he can run it, and just like the speed he can run it, and the quick play the balls and stuff. He's going to be a great asset, and I think they're just going to be a great team this year, the Sharks.
Yeah, I could almost just repeat everything you said. Like, I just completely agree. We touched on the signing of Adam Finnell-Blake earlier, and I sort of mentioned what it does for the rest of the players. You mentioned the rise of Trindle earlier.
Yeah.
It's literally just like go and replay what we said earlier, because I think they're a better team than they were last year. They made the prelims last year. We also forget they went toe-to-toe with Penrith in that prelim for a huge amount of time. And then Panthers scored a couple late. I think adding Adam Finnell-Blake, and then you look at Panthers, the roster's fallen off a little bit. There's a bunch of teams that just haven't jumped up huge in improvement or have fallen off a little bit. I think the Sharks are going to rise. Everyone always says how they always have an easy draw. Maybe to a degree, but like, you're playing the same teams every year.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're a top 2 team this year.
Yeah, I mean, no Katoa for quite a bit of the season as well. But, I mean, Sam Stonestreet, he proved when he got a chance, he's pretty solid.
Yeah, he is.
Young player as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's easily enough replaceable.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying they reckon Mulitalo is going to have a standout year. Dally M winger, top try scorer. Yeah, it's going to be good. I see there's no reason why they can't finish top 2. Honestly, no reason why they can't win.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but there's no reason why they can't.
I agree. And another aspect of it is Nico's probably not going to... I'll say it right now. Nico's not being picked in Origin just because if Cleary's healthy, if Mitch Moses is healthy, Luai, they're all ahead of him now.
Yeah.
And he was so affected by that Origin performance. If he's not being affected by that this season, and if they've got him through the Origin period as well, that's huge. And that's just bonus wins.
Oh, for
and that's
sure.
just... That helps build the momentum into finals. So, yeah, they'll be in for a big year, I feel like. Storm in first.
Yeah.
They were minor premiers last year. We both think they're going to run it back again. Talk to me, why do you think they're going to be minor premiers?
I think they were unlucky not to win last year. Obviously, a couple of things didn't go their way in the end. But, yeah, I think Jerome Hughes is just a great player.
Yep.
He's literally the Dally M best player last year as well.
Yep.
I think him and Munster, great. I think Pappenhausen is due a good year as well. He's probably going to be playing potentially for a contract as well. I'm not sure. I think he's re-signed. It must just be one more
But just
year.
the extra year and then he's negotiating again. Yeah.
Regardless, he'll have Fa'alongo pushing up his ass as well because a great player. And yeah, I mean, the addition of Utu Kamano as well, who's potentially could be one of the greatest front rows that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Him and Nelson is just scary. So
yeah,
I think Storm are going to do it, and I hope another team does it. I hope it's a little bit different to Penrith or Storm, but it's going to be tough to see that.
Yeah, I think you look at the teams last year, the best teams last year. As I said, Storm came first last year. They were in the grand final. They went toe-to-toe with Penrith, and as I said, I think Penrith have fallen off a little bit. I think Storm is still a tier above the Sharks. with an improved roster.
Yeah.
You also look at how injury riddled their season was last year.
Yeah.
Perhaps missing so many games, Munster missing so many games, even like Harry Grant missed a couple here and there. If they're getting a healthier season plus Stefano in there with a better roster, they're going to win like way more than they did last year. And I think they're going to be really, really dominant this year. I think nobody is coming close to the Melbourne Storm. I think the improved roster, I think it's just easily the best roster in the NRL now that Penrith have fallen off that little bit. There are teams I can see beating the Storm when it comes down to it. Like, I'm not just going like nobody can beat them. I wouldn't be shocked if there are teams, but at the same time, I just don't think anyone's beating the Storm. I just think they're going to be so dominant. I think we could see one of the most dominant seasons in a long time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. So essentially, wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Premiers. I went Dragons and Storm. You went Warriors and Storm.
Yep, that's right. Tough. Speaking of predictions, I feel like we're going to be very similar here, but who do you see in the grand final and who do you see winning the grand final?
Yeah. Look, I'll go. I mean, it's pretty basic, but I think it's going to happen. I'll go Storm. Storm to win the grand final. Storm to make the grand final, and I'm going to say Sharks. I think it's going to be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I think they're just going to do it this year. But Storm win the final.
Yeah, I don't want to be boring, but I've got the exact same prediction.
Well, hey.
I think it's a Storm Sharks grand final.
Yeah.
It'll come down to who plays who in the finals. To be fair, like if they're first and second, there's a world where if Sharks are playing Penrith, then they run into each other.
Yeah.
Week 1, and then Storm and Sharks meet in the prelims. But yeah, I just feel like they'll be the top 2. I feel like they'll be in the grand final, and I think Storm. Unfortunately going to win the comp. A 2016 grand final rematch as well.
Yes. Oh, correct. And that was Sharks' first ever premiership as well. Can only imagine what would happen in the Shire if we did it again.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up with quickly. I do want to tip this weekend's games, but we will wrap it up quickly. Dally M winner, just to throw it out there so we can have a receipt. And why is it Luke Metcalf?
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna go for Tom Trbojevic.
Yep.
I think I've backed Manly to do well this year, and pretty much the whole reason that will happen is if Tommy Turbo has a good season, and I think if he plays enough games, he naturally gets enough Dally M points. And I think 2025 is going to be year of the Turbo. Yeah,
it's hard to go against him when he's a Dally M point magnet. Like, he nearly wins it when he plays half a season. If he plays the whole season, especially at Manly, where like there's not that many people taking it off. Like, you do have players that can get the points, but when you compare it to a Storm or a Penrith, he's getting more points as an individual star player than, like Cleary or Munster as an example. But Hughes still won it last year in an injury-riddled Storm side, I suppose. I'm going to go a similar vibe where if they can stay healthy and stay on the field, I think they win it. I think he's due to win one. He's got to eventually. Nathan Cleary. I think now that Luai's gone as well, he's forced to take more control of a team that he already has control of, and he's already, in my opinion, the best player in the world. I think if he pulls together a full season, which he may not, but if he does, he's just due to get a Dally M medal. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he'd be up there as well for someone who I was seriously considering. And it's just, he's got a 1-1 one day. It's just win. But it's probably, I mean, if you go and look back at the end of the season, and you can look back now and you can say, oh, well, he got injured. It'd probably be quite easy to work out who the Dally M was, because even Kalen Ponga playing for Knights, they might not do that well, but he, once again, a magnet for Dally M points. So, Nathan Cleary is a very good Ponga's a good choice. Pick for a smoky, actually. I don't mind that. Just because there's nobody else at Knights, respectfully. They got nobody. I know. And he, unfairly won one in 2023 as well. Justice for Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson robbed. Don't worry. That's the Orange Village rhetoric as well. We're behind that movement still. We'll wrap it up with your tips for this weekend. Las Vegas. The Warriors over there. I hope you're tipping them. They take on the Raiders. I'm sure you'll be tipping the Raiders. The Raiders, they're broken. They're a broken team at the moment. They're hitting each other with inflatable baseball bats. They're wrestling for rooms. Hudson Young, he's the most English New South Walesman ever. I didn't realise he was actually not a Pom for years. Literally. But, I don't think the Raiders are going to do very well this year. I think the Raiders could be in trouble, and I think the Warriors going to go over there. It's going to be a home game for the Warriors. That is such a fair point. There's about 15,000 Kiwis coming over. Quite a few Kiwis who live in London. Also, they're heading over.
it's going to be all go. The Warriors, they're going to earn the beers. They're going to be in the casino straight after the game, just winning over there. So, yeah, I think Warriors win. And look, I think Warriors will lead by a bit. Raiders will score a few at the end. So, Warriors 1-12 for me.
I like it. I'm tipping the Raiders. I'm pretty sure they're outsiders as well. But I unfortunately just don't rate the Warriors this season.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Warriors. Like, I hope they prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And you do mention the week from hell from the Raiders with the inflatable bats. They ended up accidentally at a pool party because they booked a swimming session and then there was a pool party there.
Oh, that's great.
They ended up training with an under 12s gridiron team because there was a double booking. It couldn't get worse. Xavier Savage isn't over there thinking about footy. He's gone and got engaged.
I know.
You're there to play rugby league.
That's probably up there with one of the greatest rugby league engagement. It's going over there, just getting engaged in Vegas.
Yeah.
Let alone getting engaged in Vegas when you're playing rugby league.
Yeah.
It's great. Very happy for him and his partner as well. But I think it's all signs lead to the Warriors.
It's hard to go against, isn't it? Shout out to Fox League as well. I don't know if you saw, they tagged Xavier Savage in their post, but they only put one underscore where his has two, and it's just the most some random meme account that has no post, just some dude with a mustache is the profile picture. Go check that out if they didn't fix it. But I'm going to go the milk 1-12. Oh. Smaller field as well. Hard to pick high scoring, but I just unfortunately don't rate the Warriors this season. I do rate the Raiders as well. I think they'll have a good year, to be honest. I'm going to go the Raiders 1-12, and then there's Panthers and the Sharks. Panthers a few plays out as well.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go Sharks here. I think the Sharks are going to make a statement. And I think I would have gone... No, I think they'll go... I'll go 1-12 as well. Sharks 1-12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think everything we've said, and they'll be up for it and looking to prove some points this year as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go just copy bet. I think Sharks 1-12. I think Panthers missing a few players. Historically start slow. I think Sharks... Usually, I'm pretty sure they do start quick because they went undefeated for ages last year.
They beat the Warriors round one last year as well, which we should have won that as well. I think Sharks will get it done for sure. So, Sharks, Raiders for me. You're going Sharks and the Wars. I genuinely hope the Warriors win and prove me wrong. But unfortunately, that's just what my prediction is. Welcome to Orange Peelers as we wrap it up. Debut episode. You excited to be here? Oh, mate, it's great. It was a lot of fun. And it's really got me fizzed up for the start of the season. As if I wasn't fizzed up enough, but I know. Do you play fantasy or Supercoach as well?
I'm Supercoach. Yes.
Nice. I'm running one in each this year, and
you're running the comp?
No. Sorry, I'm playing.
I was like, hey, drop the code. So you're playing each.
My admin skills definitely wouldn't be able to commission run a comp. But I played Supercoach with mates for the last few years.
Nice.
Joining a fantasy team this year, and I think I've got to go make a few changes and really go build that team now. So,
I'm on Supercoach. I have a comp. I think it's called the Hot Dog Cup at the moment. I might rename it and we'll just call it the Orange Peelers comp. Yeah. So I'll have the code on the screen if I remember to insert that.
I'll jump in there as well for sure.
You jump in there and you can try and beat us. But welcome to Orange Peelers. Stoked to have you here. And up the wires.
Yeah, up the wires. Hopefully next week we're talking and the Warriors have won. And, our season predictions are right and there's not too many bad injuries. But thanks for having me. It's been fun and looking forward to the season. Run it back next week. We'll be talking about the Warriors win. We'll be talking about why the Bulldogs are winning the following weekend. And up the wires, up the dogs.